Let's go ahead and attempt number 5. Number 5 says courses intends to create a student circle where students will be saving their pocket money and can withdraw at any time. Write Java programs that will require a user to enter the registration number of the student, so you must use a scanner somewhere, the deposit amount, and the programs then should display a menu with options for withdraw, deposit more, and quit. Take note of the following. Withdraw option should request the user to enter the amount needed, and if the amount does not exceed the balance, the program should proceed to allow the withdrawal. Okay. So let's go through this question with code, one step at a time. I already have a project created called question 5 for this particular question, and the question follows with so the program should proceed to allow the withdrawal if the amount does not exceed the balance. Okay. So otherwise, whatever account we have has insufficient funds, must be printed as the output or as the message, where XX is the student registration number. Okay, so the deposit more option should request the user to enter the amount to deposit, and it adds it to the current balance. Display the new balance on the screen. Create should determine the program. Then withdraw and deposit modules should be implemented using methods withdraw and deposit. Okay, so which concepts are being tested here? We shall find out as we try to attempt it. Okay, so let's start by creating a circle class. So this is going to be a circle class. You can use it anytime. So this circle class of ours is going to have the registration number of the student and the deposit amount. So let's have the registration number of the student. So this is going to be a string called reg number, and we also have the deposit amount. Deposit amount, let's make it an int and call it deposit amount like that. The program or programs then should display a menu with options for withdraw, deposit, more, and quit. Okay, so we are going to have to create a method that does that. So public void, let's call it a menu. And this menu of ours is going to print out. We're going to use let's print out the display a menu with options for withdraw, deposit, and quit. So the first option is going to be withdraw. Second option will be deposit, and the third option is going to be quit like that. So take note of the following. The withdraw option should request the user to enter the amount needed, and if the amount does not exceed the balance, the program should proceed to allow the withdrawal. Okay. Okay, so we are going to have to use a switch for this. So this is the menu that is going to be printed, and then after printing the menu, we have to switch between whatever value the user inputs in here. So let's create a new method, call it user input. This user input will take an integer. Let's call it option, and we are going to switch the option that the user chooses, and we are going to say for the first case, case 1. So if it's 1, we want to return something. So basically, let's first say this will be a withdrawal, and then for the other case, for case 2, this will be a deposit, and case 3 will be the user quitting. So we can quit with system dot exit. Exit is the status of I think it's 98. Okay. So what next? So we're going to have a student class somewhere that performs these operations. Okay. Okay, let's start from here. So withdraw option should request the user to enter the amount needed, and if the amount does not exceed the balance, the program should proceed to allow the withdrawal. Okay. So let's create a student class. And in the main method of this student class, we are going to create a circle object. Circle. And then first we are going to print the menu. After printing the menu, we should get some user input. So prompt the user to choose an option. So when the user chooses an option, we need to pick that option from the keyboard. So using the scanner class, scanner is equal to new scanner system.in. When we use the scanner class, we need to import it up here above the class name. So whatever option the student chooses, we need to pick that option. It will be an integer, call it option, and this will be picked using the scanner.nextInt method. And so this user input method is going to take that option like that. So let's first run this to see how it will look like. So let's bring it to the top. So we have the menu. Let's call it here. Okay. Let's call it menu like that. So we're running this. Gives us the menu like this. So we have this menu. You can choose to withdraw, to deposit, to quit. So when we choose an option here, choosing an option will run. The option will become the argument here, which will run either this, or this. So we need to make sure so if we enter the option to exit, then this program should quit. And that option to quit is what? Is 3. So if we input 3, the program should end. It has ended with exit code 98 as we specified here. So if we run the program and choose a withdraw, we should see withdrawal. And when we run the program and choose a deposit, we should see deposit. So that code to run the deposit should run, and that the code to run the withdrawal we shall have to write from here. So they're asking us that when it comes to withdrawing, if the amount does not exceed the balance, the program should proceed and allow the withdrawal. So let's first do that first. Okay, so first of all, we need to make sure that we don't allow the student to withdraw money when it has exceeded the balance they have in the circle account. So let's create a constructor called circle, and this constructor is going to have the student registration number, the reg number, and it's also going to have the initial deposit amount, and then we're going to initialize this registration number up here to whatever we get when creating the object for the student. So reg number like that. Same for the deposit amount. We're going to set that to whatever we get when creating the object, whatever deposit amount we get when we are creating the circle object, or rather the circle account for our students. So we have to do some changes here. So our student here is going to have a registration number of let's say 21 U 1 2 3 4. Then the amount they have in the circle, let's start them off with let's say 20,000. That's the amount they have. Let's format it like this. So if that's the amount they have, what happens if they need to withdraw this amount? So we need to create a method inside the circle class to withdraw this amount. So let's say public void, let's call it withdraw, and we want to withdraw a certain amount. And to withdraw this certain amount, you are going to get the the current amount we have in the account, and say subtract the amount we want to give us the balance, like that. So then, after getting the current amount we have in the account, we should just rename this as current to make it make sense. So current balance, and this should be renamed as deposit. So this becomes deposit, like that. So when we get our current balance and subtract the amount we want to withdraw, we should get the current balance then after doing this subtraction. So this means that this current balance here, this current balance up here, this current balance is going to be whatever balance we have left after doing what? After doing the subtraction here, after withdrawing some money, like this. But we don't want to withdraw. What if the current balance we had was 500 and we want to withdraw some amount that exceeds our current balance? So we need to control that using an if statement. So we are going to say if the amount is greater than the current balance, so this current balance, then return. Don't execute this code. Just if this is true, if the amount we want to withdraw is greater than the current balance we have, return from this method. Don't execute this code. That's what the return statement will do for us. So this is saying the local variable here is redundant, and we can inline this statement in this way. So if the amount is greater than the current balance, return. Otherwise, get the current balance and deduct that current balance by this amount. So that's our withdraw method. And that means when we come here to withdraw, when the user selects the withdraw option, they should, instead of printing this out, we should run this method here. So we should run withdraw like that. So meaning we need to add some extra parameters here to specify the amount to withdraw. Amount to withdraw, like that, because this withdraw method takes an integer here. So that integer will be whatever the user passes as the amount to withdraw in that method. So we want the amount to withdraw there. So let's first try this out. We are going to create a student with a current deposit of 20,000, and then when they choose an option here, we want them to also include the amount to withdraw. So if they want to withdraw something like let's say 25,000, which is more than they have in the account, we should provide a way to alert the user that you cannot do this. So let's, instead of returning straight away, let's say you have insufficient balance, like that, and then we can return from the method. So when we run this code, we are running this code here in the main method, which will create a circle account for a student with this balance. And then this student is going to try to withdraw 25,000, and yet they only have what? 20k. So when the user goes for the withdraw option, this is the code that is going to run here. So the option we are choosing here is the first one, case 1, which is withdraw, and it is going to run this method like this. And so the student is withdrawing, is choosing the first option and withdrawing 25,000. So which means this is going to run this code here, the withdrawal code, and since the amount we want to withdraw is greater than the amount we have in our balance, in our current balance, which is 20k, this code is going to be executed, insufficient balance, and then we are going to return from the method. So let's see that in action. So by selecting 1, withdraw, we are trying to withdraw 25,000, and yet we only have 20,000. So we are going to say insufficient balance. So let's try to withdraw the amount we have, which is 20,000. And when we do that, when that is successful, we want to show the user that you have withdrawn this amount, meaning your current balance is this dot current balance, like that. So let's try this one more time and try to withdraw maybe 15,000. So our student here with this red number and this current deposit wants to withdraw 15,000 from the circle account. So let's, because I made that change, let me run the code again. So we want to withdraw 15,000. So when we do that, we can, because we can withdraw 15,000 because 15,000 is less than what? Than the current balance. So is 15,000 greater than 20,000? The answer is no. So this code won't run, meaning we are going to go straight to this code here, which will do the deduction and print out the message you have withdrawn 15,000, and your current balance is now what? 5,000 here. Because when you add these two, you should get your what? Your initial deposit, which was 20,000. So let's move on to deposit. We now need to write a new method for depositing funds into the circle account. So public void deposit, and we need to deposit funds, which will be an integer. And here we don't want to check, we don't have to check whether the funds are less or more than what we have currently in the account. We can just say whatever amount we pass here, we pass into this deposit method. We want the current balance to be equal to the initial current balance, this current balance, plus whatever amount we pass as our deposit. And maybe later we can alert the students that you have deposited a certain amount, which is whatever amount they pass here, this amount here, and you should let them know that your current balance is this current balance, like that. So that's our deposit method. So if we run this, if our student selects number 2, instead of printing out deposit, we should run the deposit method, and this deposit method should come with with the amount to deposit, and this amount to deposit should be we are going to create a scanner for it. So let's just call this amount to transact, to make it make sense. Amount to transact. So the amount to transact here is going to be the same as the amount to transact here. So we are going to go back to the students class and try to, let's first print out a set of dashes. But repeat this, just to create some formatting. And then we are going to say, after withdrawing 15k, this student is going to come back and deposit 50,000. Like this, 1, 2, 3. So let's run this. So we're going to withdraw and deposit. Oh, okay. I see. This won't work because when we choose the deposit code, we get this unexpected output because we are trying to deposit, not to withdraw. So our code here is kind of messed up. Let's fix that. Let's increase this to 40, the dashes, and then I want to create a for loop for this option, this menu here. So I'm going to say I'm going to cut this and say while this is true. So I'm going to create an if next loop and paste the menu inside there. depending on the option the user chooses, because here we should be waiting for what? For the option like this. Int option is equal to scanner dot next int like that. So depending on the option, if the option is equal to 1, so let's say withdrawal. If that is the case, then we need to run the withdrawal method, and the withdrawal method is going to be not this one. We're going to run this user input, which is 1 for withdrawal, and the amount we want to withdraw specified here as maybe 5,000 rupees. And else, if the option is option 2, option 2 is a deposit, so this becomes circle dot user input is option 2, and we want to deposit a certain amount, say 30,000 like that. Else, the other option is to quit, which is circle dot user input option 3. And since we need to include the amount to transact, let's just say we're not going to transact anything, but we just want to quit, which is option 3 on this menu. So after quitting, that's when we can break from the loop and make it cease to become to be infinite. So let's run this program of ours and see whether our deposits, withdraw and quit options work. So if you want to withdraw, see it now says you have withdrawn 5k, because we have here 5k as the amount to withdraw, and our current balance is what? 15,000. So if we want to withdraw again, we shall again withdraw 5k, and our current balance will be 10,000. So withdrawing it again, we withdraw 5k again, and our current balance is what? It's 10,000. And this is a loop, because we're in a loop. So we want these options to keep appearing until we quit the program. So here we are being asked, do you want to withdraw or deposit? So I want to deposit, and this time we shall be depositing what? 30,000. So this will become 30 plus 10 will become 40,000. So like this. So you have deposited 30,000. Your current balance is what? Is 40. And when we want to quit the program, we shall not transact anything. We shall just what? Quit, because option 3 means what? Means quitting. And when we choose this option, we just exit the program like this. So choosing option 3 should quit the program. Program was finished with exit code 98. So let's see if this all matches our question. So withdraw option should request the user to enter the amount needed. Okay, so the user needs to enter the amount needed. So let's come back here, and we are going to prompt the user to enter the amount needed. needed. Enter the amount to, let's just say enter the amount to withdraw like this. So instead of hard coding this amount to withdraw, the user is going to be the one to decide how much they want to withdraw. So let's get that amount to withdraw and initialize it to whatever we get from the scanner using the next int method like that. And then instead of hard coding this amount to transact, it will now become amount to withdraw, this one, like that. So that does it for this. Let's just see it in action. So running this program, if we choose to withdraw, we should get the prompt to tell us how much you want to withdraw. So enter the amount to withdraw, and we want to withdraw 30,000. 1, 2, 3. Remember, our current balance is less than this, so this should tell us we have what? Insufficient funds. So you have insufficient funds. So they give us the menu again. What do you want to do? I want to withdraw, so this time let me withdraw 13,000. So after withdrawing 13,000, I'm left with what? 7,000. And then let's quit the program like that. So that works. So we have this logic already. If the amount does not exceed the balance, the program should proceed to allow the withdrawal. So we have that logic here in the withdraw method. If the amount does not exceed the balance, go ahead and do the withdrawal like this. Otherwise, account XX has insufficient funds should be the message. Okay. So here, instead of saying you have insufficient funds, we need to use the registration number and say account, the account with this registration number, this dot reg number, like that. Account access has insufficient funds, has insufficient funds, like that. So let's run this one more time, see that we get exactly what we want. So let's first try to withdraw something we don't have, an amount we don't have 50,000. So doing that, it is saying the account with this registration number has insufficient funds. This is what we want. Okay, so if we try to withdraw again, something less, maybe let's withdraw everything we have. So you have withdrawn 20,000 and your current balance is 0. Okay. And what else? And the program. So after receiving that message where XXX is the registration number, like we have seen, the program goes back to the menu. So we needed to use the while loop to make this what loop, to go back to the menu, because we've been seeing the menu here popping up every time until we quit the program. So the deposit more option should request the user to enter the amount to deposit, and it adds it to the current balance. Okay. So here we are going to do the same thing. If we choose option 2, which is deposit, we want to prompt the user to enter the amount to deposit like this. So this amount to deposit, we are going to pick it. Let's call it amount to deposit, and it is going to be whatever we get from the scanner object and this next int method. So here, instead of hard coding the amount to deposit, let's use whatever the user is going to give us, like that. So it is saying, and it adds it to the current balance. So we already have this logic of adding it to the current balance here in the circle account, this logic here. We should also display the new balance on the screen and return to the menu. Okay. So after depositing, we can now see the current balance, the new balance. Okay, let's say your new balance. Your new balance is that after depositing. So after depositing, still we shall still be able to do what? To see the menu again, because we are inside the loop, and this code here is the one that displays the menu. This code here displays the menu. So every time after doing some logic here, after doing either this or this, apart from this, because this will just what? Quit the program. So after doing any of this, the program is forced to loop, to go back to the what? To the circle menu and display it, and then we are prompted to do what? To choose an option again. And then what we have here is quit. The quit option should terminate the program. So after here, because our option to quit is number 3 in our menu, so when we quit, we should not do any transaction, but rather quit the entire program. So what happens if we don't break this loop and quit this program anyway? Let's see what happens. My guess is the program will just quit and not bring back the menu again, because this option runs the code to quit the program like this. So if we decide to quit, the program quits, even if we don't use the break statement. But here IntelliJ is saying that the while statement cannot complete without throwing an exception. So maybe somewhere down the line we might get an exception, because we never break this infinite loop. But so to just to not confuse other programmers who might read our code, we should include the break statement like this to make sure that this loop actually does what? Breaks. It's not what? Infinite. Okay, so let's go to this. Withdraw and deposit modules should be implemented using methods. So the modules are these ones in the circle accounts, the deposit and withdraw. So this module here is a method, and this is also a method. The deposit module is also a method, which we've done here. So the deposit module is giving us 6 marks. This here is giving us 6 marks. And the withdraw module is giving us 6 marks as well. This one here. Rather this one. Making use of the deposit and withdraw modules and management of the menu is the 8 marks. So management of the menu is when you then have to do this while thing, the while loop, and also printing it out on the console. This here is also management of the menu. Then there's also this extra marks here for switching the input that the user chooses. So basically that's the end of question 5. We have the circle account like this, and in our student account, rather student class, is where we run the code for that particular student.